The March MPD results are in, and as expected, Xbox did extremely well. So throughout the first quarter of 2022, we've been hearing about how Xbox has been outselling the PlayStation 5 and how their sales have just been taking off, and they've been doing very well as reported by VG charts and the previous NPD results. And we've been waiting on the March 2022 NPD results. We have them now, and there's lots of information here, but the big thing here is that Xbox themselves, in terms of their hardware sales, have done extremely well. In fact, breaking records that they had previously set back in 2011 and 2014. But let's go through the entire thread here. This is from Matt Piscatella, who is the executive director and video game industry advisor for the NPD Group. And we first take a look at the March 2022 consumer spending across video game hardware, content, and accessories. They have all declined by 15% when you compare it to March 2021. So from 5.7 billion down to 4.9 billion. And then overall, they've seen across all major categories of spend decline. We take a look here and you can see the numbers, Dan. And I mean, this makes sense if you think about 2021 versus 2022, just the state of the world that we were in. There were a lot more lockdowns. There were a lot more people that couldn't do anything else but buy and play video games. And now the world is opening up. Even in the most lockdown countries, they're starting to open up and people are just getting out and doing other things other than play video games. So I'm not surprised about the decline in the overall video game sales. Continues on here talking about the hardware supply challenges combined with return of experiential spending are likely drivers of the Q1 declines, and video game hardware dollar sales dropped 24% when compared to a year ago to 515 million. The first quarter hardware sales reached 1.2 billion, a 15% decline versus 2021's first quarter. Now here is where things get interesting in terms of the US NPD hardware sales. The Xbox Series was the best selling hardware platform of both March 2022 and in the first quarter in terms of dollars. But the Switch led both time periods in unit sales. So the Switch is selling more per unit, but Xbox making more money overall in terms of dollars, which is very impressive. Because, I mean, they have the two SKUs, but they also have the ability for people to not even go out and buy a console if they want to play Xbox Game Pass or play the first-party Xbox games. And this brings us all the way back to the launch of these consoles in 2020, or even just all the way back to the announcement that Xbox first-party games were not going to be locked to consoles anymore. No more console exclusivity. That was gone out the window, and you had a lot of naysayers saying that this would just absolutely cannibalize console sales. You had people like me, you had lots of other people out there who completely disagreed with this, saying, we have moved past the console exclusivity era, and this is a very smart move. People are still going to go out and buy consoles because people buy consoles because of, one, their price point, two, their convenience, and three, it is the best way in general for most people to be able to experience the new first party, third party, next generation games without having to spend thousands of dollars on a big gaming PC. And all of this is being proven true with all of these NPD numbers and just the overall sales numbers of the Xbox Series X and S. Then we go down here to some big numbers here for Xbox. So Xbox hardware unit and dollar sales in March 2022 set new all-time March highs for the platform. Previous Xbox bests were set in March 2011 in terms of unit sales, and then March 2014 in terms of dollars. Now, March 2011, that would be the Xbox 360, so I'm not surprised about that. But March 2014, that is just a couple of months after the release of the Xbox One, and we know that the Xbox One overall throughout the generation just didn't do very well. But I guess in March 2014, there were some big sales numbers there, and I'm trying to figure out what could have pushed this forward. And I'm going down through the list here of March 2014 releases, and the only thing that I think could really have pushed this forward was Titanfall. As we know, Titanfall was a console exclusive, also out on PC, but a console exclusive to the Xbox, which was a big game. People were really excited about Titanfall, and that could have been it. I'm trying to think if there's anything else here that released on the Xbox that could have pushed the March 2014 Xbox sales numbers high. But I mean, maybe I'm missing something here, but maybe it was Titanfall. It's just surprising overall because of how bad the Xbox One generation was. Now, when it comes to the game sales and everything, we can go down through all of these tweets here, but there is the list of the top video game sales in March of 2022. And again, Elden Ring still on top, which is no surprise. You have Gran Turismo 7 coming in at number 2, even after all of the controversies with it. And then Kirby and the Forgotten Land at number 3, and then MLB The Show down there at number 4. So MLB The Show still doing very well, but there is a note here about MLB The Show that it hasn't taken into account all of the sales. It says here, note on MLB The Show 2022, due to reporting coverage dates, only the early access MVP edition and digital deluxe edition were included in March reporting. Base version reporting will begin to be included in April reporting. So just with the deluxe editions and MVP editions of this game, it was still ranked number 4th here on the top 20 video games for March 2022. And then in terms of the 12-month ending March 2022 top games, Call of Duty Vanguard is still on top at number 1. And again, that's a Call of Duty that apparently was under expectations in terms of how much it sold and the amount of money it was making. Still ranked number 1. That just shows the power of the Call of Duty franchise. Even if they make a game that doesn't perform as it usually expected to perform, it still is a number 1 selling throughout the year. So very, very impressive there. And then you have Elden Ring number 2, and Madden 22 still over the entire year at number 3 for the top video game sales. So overall, some interesting numbers here. There's also stuff about accessories and mobile games, but we don't really need to go over that. The big thing is Xbox. Xbox is selling very, very well. It is the best selling console in the first quarter of 2022, and you can going to see that trend probably continue for a while. People are saying it's because of the chip shortage, and that does have a big effect on how these consoles sell. But overall, the Xbox Series console is a great console with tons of consumer demand, and I would say objectively is an overall better console than the PlayStation 5 this generation in terms of all of the features that come along with it, the power within inside the console, the form factor, how much sleeker it is. It just runs better, it's quieter, there's more value within that console. So I think it's kind of in bad faith to say the only reason the Xbox is selling better than the PlayStation 5 is because of the chip shortage. If it was not a good console, people still wouldn't be buying it. They wouldn't just be rushing out to buy an Xbox whenever stock is available if it was a undesirable console with nothing to play on it. But that's it for me, guys. Let me know your thoughts on this, on Xbox, the sales, beating records from 2011, 2014, the game sales, the year-over-year spending, all that type of stuff. If you enjoyed this video, hit that thumbs up button. If you're new here, you liked what you saw, consider hitting that subscribe button. Thank you for watching. Thank you for your support, and I'll catch you in the next video.